The tray never arrived. In a luxury hotel that promised perfection, silence became the answer, somewhere between polished smiles and five-star promises. A simple request was denied not because the kitchen was closed, not because of an error, but because someone decided she did not deserve it. Alone in a quiet suite, a black CEO waited, unaware that a single act of disrespect was about to expose an entire system built on quiet bias. The hotel manager thought this was a small decision, a forgettable moment. What he didn't know was that within minutes, careers would end, reputations would collapse, and the power he thought he held would disappear completely. She arrived exhausted, carrying the kind of fatigue that comes from years of proving herself in rooms that were never built for her. The black CEO had flown in late, straight from meetings that demanded precision, restraint, and constant vigilance. Success had never given her Restonely higher expectations. She checked into the hotel without attention. Dressed simply, moving quietly through marble halls designed to impress people who already expected comfort. She didn't announce her title. She didn't ask for special treatment. She never did. Experience had taught her that revealing power too early often changed how people behaved. Her room was immaculate, overlooking the city. The lights below flickered like a promise of rest she rarely had time to enjoy. Hunger crept in, sharp and sudden. Room service was a routine request, something any guest could expect without thought. Downstairs, the hotel manager scanned the request. The name registered, but not in the way it should have. It didn't match his assumptions. The room number didn't fit the image he had already built in his mind. Instead of checking, instead of following protocol, he paused. Then he denied it. No explanation, no escalation. Just a decision shaped by something he would never admit out loud. Upstairs, minutes passed. The hallway remained quiet. The CEO refreshed the app, then checked again. The request had been marked denied. No reason. No follow-up. She had felt this before. The subtle pause. The service that slowed without cause. The respect that vanished without confrontation. It was never loud enough to protest, never obvious enough to accuse, but always clear enough to recognize. This time, something felt different. She noticed another update. Room service was still operating. Other orders were being delivered. The system was working, just not for her. Instead of reacting emotionally, she leaned into instinct. Years in leadership had taught her that power didn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waited. She opened her laptop. The hotel chain wasn't unfamiliar. In fact, it sat at the center of a confidential acquisition her firm had nearly finalized. Through layered ownership and quiet negotiations, she already had access most people never would. She reviewed internal activity logs, timestamps, authorization trails. The denial wasn't accidental. It was manual, intentional. A single manager overriding policy without justification. She documented everything: screenshots, system data, compliance flags. Then she submitted one calm, factual report through an executive oversight channel designed for risks no brand could afford to ignore. Downstairs, the manager moved on, unaware. To him, the moment had passed. To the system, it had just begun. The response was immediate. Corporate alerts triggered across departments. A denial without cause flagged as discrimination risk. Brand liability warnings activated. Overnight audits launched automatically. Senior executives were pulled into emergency review before dawn. The evidence was undeniable. Clear bias, clear policy violation. And worse patterns. They dug deeper. Similar incidents surfaced. Complaints dismissed. Requests delayed. Guests treated differently depending on perception. Supervisors who ignored warning signs. Staff who followed biased direction without question. The manager was removed first. Access revoked. Termination processed before sunrise. But leadership didn't stop there. Entire departments were reviewed. Management structures collapsed under scrutiny. By morning, multiple supervisors were fired. Contracts were suspended. The overnight leadership team was wiped out. What had begun as a denied meal became a reckoning. Upstairs, the CEO received an automated notice, not of apology, but of action taken. The system had responded exactly as it was designed to when truth met accountability. She closed her laptop. Hunger no longer mattered. The story never went public. There were no headlines. No viral outrage. The acquisition moved forward quietly, but not unchanged. New leadership mandates were imposed. Mandatory training rolled out. Oversight tightened. Systems rewritten. When the CEO checked out later that morning, the lobby felt different. The smiles were still there, but something else lingered: fear, awareness, consequence. She walked past staff who never knew who she was, only what had happened. And that was the point. Racism doesn't always announce itself with cruelty. Sometimes it hides behind policy. Sometimes it clicks a button. Sometimes it assumes the person on the other side has no power to respond. This was never about revenge. It was about exposure. About what happens when quiet bias collides with undeniable authority. Jobs were lost, not because of one request, but because dignity was treated as optional. The real question isn't whether discrimination still exists in places that claim excellence. It's how often it survives until the wrong person finally experiences it.